Now, I am almost done with this cigar, so we gotta get started.
Yeah, I know.
No manches. Don't embarrass me, Javi. Don't embarrass me. Welcome to the Dude Catholic Podcast. I'm your co-host Adrian here with a man who is currently smoking an Ave Maria cigar. You're one of the first people that I knew smoked cigars.
Oh no, I did that on purpose.
No, I know. I'm just letting the people know over here. Because I started smoking cigars with Ramon, but I talked about cigars with you.
Yeah, sure.
And you still need to show me how to properly smoke a pipe, because I've watched the videos and I know how to do it. I've had a pipe for over a year, and I still haven't bought the tobacco. So I need to get after it. Yeah,
for sure.
Either way, today we finish a series titled Crucify Him, with an episode titled Acceptance. Our scripture today comes from Luke chapter 23, verse 21. But they kept shouting, "Crucify him! Crucify him!" Not delicious. So let's get the podcast on the road. As we wrap up this series about pop culture and what we've come to accept as a culture, not only do we bring back the last episode about accepting, or how we ended up talking about accepting all the limitations that have been imposed on us as people of faith, but also how we've come to accept the popular way of thinking, or how we've been so hands off with it.
Yeah, we're scared.
Yeah,
we're scared. We're literally scared that we're gonna lose, people following us on social media. We're going to lose friends. We're going to lose our job. We're going to become less popular, whatever. We're scared. We're scared as a people to express our beliefs, even among people who are supposed to have our same beliefs.
Yeah.
People in the church, I'm a Catholic school teacher.
Mm-hmm.
I can't tell you how many times I've been scared to, and I teach religion. I teach theology. Mm-hmm. To teach the church's teachings on these very controversial matters within the confines of a Catholic school where the textbooks proclaim it.
Mm-hmm.
And it's part of the curriculum. I'm scared to even touch on the subject because this is what it's become.
Yeah.
Back to the whole being canceled, being, in a sense, quote unquote, crucified.
And just not full disclosure, partial disclosure. And I'm not gonna throw you under the bus or anything. We're not gonna talk about the specific jobs and whatnot.
No,
but
for sure. Yeah.
But you're one of those people that has actually endured that kind of backlash.
Totally.
Many times. Many times. And honestly, and we've talked about this. You're a Franciscan University grad.
Yes.
One of the things that those of us who were not fortunate enough to be able to go there, or who thought we couldn't afford it, mainly me, and a couple of other people, know you Franciscan grads as the people who lose their job because you won't back down.
And it's funny, and it hurt. It saddens me to say that through my experience of all this and being jaded and losing my livelihood,
more than once,
I have unfortunately become more soft. In a lot of ways, where I feel like it's no longer my battle. Sometimes I feel to myself like I'm done. I remember I was having this conversation not too long ago with another coworker, and I was telling him, look, this is something where I came to a point in my life where I said maybe it's time to let somebody else pick up the baton and run the race, and fight the good fight, because I have fought, and I got my scars, and I got knocked the heck out, and it's one thing when you get knocked the heck out in society, you lose friends, you lose acceptance, you get kicked out of a group, whatever. Another thing is when you lose your livelihood, and in a place like California, where it's really expensive to survive.
Oh yeah.
It not only makes you insecure, it makes you as a man, as a person altogether, but it's so much uncertainty, of God. I can't even begin to tell you, right? I anybody, especially now, people have lost their jobs, God be with them. Seriously, I feel horrible. One of the things I pray with my students every day is for those who have lost their jobs. And it's something I started doing a long time ago, not just because of the pandemic, but because of my own personal experience of losing a job. It's a terrible feeling. It's a horrible thing. And anyways, it literally knocks you to the ground. It pulls the rug underneath your feet and leaves you sometimes even feeling hopeless. It's horrible.
It is.
It's horrible. It's a horrible feeling, and anybody who's experienced it can identify with that. But anyways, yeah. I mean, I feel to a certain extent where I have come to a point where I'm like, let somebody else fight, Lord. Send somebody else, right? Don't send me, Lord, right? As many of the Old Testament prophets echoed.
Here I am, Lord.
Right?
Please don't let it be I, Lord.
Exactly. Right? Like, send somebody else, Lord. I'm done fighting. I don't want to lose my job anymore. I don't want to have these conflicts, these put in these situations anymore.
Yeah.
It's yeah. And in a sense, it's me accepting and almost surrendering, and I see that now. Obviously, that
I don't see that in you.
No, but I don't. I'm a fighter, so but I don't surrender completely. Right? I continue the fight in my own way, but
you just fight smarter.
You just learn to fight smarter, and the difference of John the Baptist and Jesus, right? John the Baptist, no filter.
None.
I mean, that's why he got killed right away, right? Jesus was more calculated, right? He was like, don't say this, don't share this with anybody. He would tell, the whole messianic secret thing, right? Like, he would tell people, don't say anything, right? He's like, I want to last for at least 3 years doing my ministry, because he knew he was going to die. He knew they were going to eventually catch up to him and kill him.
That was the point of being here.
Yeah, but he wanted to make sure he got out his message, the parables, all the different sermons that he wanted to preach, and all the different deeds that he wanted to perform, with the miracles, etc., before they killed him, because he knew his time was going to run out, like John the Baptist, right? He eventually was going to get there, and as you see, when he comes to Jerusalem, he knows he's going to die. He knows this is it. That's why he has no problem going to doing the things that he did when he went to the temple and he clean house, and when he says, destroy this temple and rebuild it in 3 days, he knew. He started speaking a lot more bolder. He started speaking a lot more clear, because he knew this is it. You can do whatever the heck you want now. This is it. I know.
Yeah.
My time is here.
When he said I am, he knew. He knew. And that's the thing. Man, that's one of the reasons why I want to pull you into public school. It's because you've been down that road. We're not new Catholic school teachers. Heck, I'm a new public school teacher, and the reason why I feel bold enough to be who I am, where I'm at, is because I know how to navigate those waters. Because I'm not going to say anything that's going to get me convicted in such a way that it's going to leave my family without their livelihood. So I know how to say the stuff that I say without getting fired. I can let them know. Be a critical thinker. And that should be enough, and that is enough, to show people that I'm not going to back down, but I'm not going to fight a fight that I know is going to get anyone in trouble.
Yeah. And
there is a way to do that, and we don't have to accept what people think we should accept.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'm being clear enough, but
No,
One of the
yeah,
things that I
yeah.
remember doing in
Yeah.
Catholic schools when I was a campus minister is, if the school is not going to let me have Eucharistic adoration at a retreat, if the school is not going to let me do something like that, I'm going to try. I'm going to get away with as much as I can, as much orthodoxy as I can bring in,
Sure.
without getting fired.
Yeah. No, and ultimately, just giving somebody Christ is God puts you in those circumstances, and you have to be prudent. You have to be you have to be discreet, and to the degree that God calls you to be prudent and discreet, you're not the savior. You just give him Jesus, and if Jesus wants to lead through some other means, through some other person or some other vessel or something else, lead them to a deeper conversion, lead them to a deeper understanding of the church's teachings on these very controversial things of gay marriage, of abortion, so on and so forth, then maybe somebody else is going to do that, right? But yeah, being smart about being very, very discreet, like Jesus,
Yeah.
being like Jesus, right? And it took me a long time to learn that, after getting my head, cut off and put on a platter, so to speak, right? John the Baptist. It took me some time to realize that Jesus wanted me to be more discreet and more kind of incognito to a certain extent. Not that we're called to be incognito, but you get what I'm saying.
Yeah, you learn how to
Prudence.
navigate the culture.
And it's something that I definitely through my human, my personality, my temperance, my temperament, excuse me, that I have, it was very difficult for me to learn, because I am by nature very passionate, very zealous. Not to say anybody else isn't, but that's exactly what got me in those positions, and I don't regret. I definitely would not go back and want to relive those moments, but I don't regret. I don't regret anything in terms of that, because those were, hopefully one day, hopefully, I don't know.
Because blessed are you.
Jewels on my crown. I don't know, but or maybe take away some my purgatory time. I hope that's probably, hopefully that's the case. God have mercy, please, Jesus. A lot of time in purgatory, but hey,
I've earned every second in there.
yeah, but
I know that.
you learn, and you learn how to do that. And I don't know that I'm there yet where I could be at a public school. I have been at a public school, but it was a charter school, so it was very different than completely public. But to do something like that, the culture has and that was then. I mean, that was over 15 years ago. About 15 years ago. Golly gee, I mean, the culture has changed immensely. I mean, we are now. You talked about Cardi B, but now it's even worse than that. That this is sexual aspect of that, which is horrific. That we've gotten to that degree where you can do things like that, and it's praised by the media. We've gotten to the point where we talk about we mentioned it briefly, but now this rapper or singer, whatever you want to call him, Lil Nas, and I'm not trying to disrespect him. I'm just I'm just saying this guy who is not to say anything about his sexual identity, but yes, he is a homosexual, and that's his preference, whatever. But for him to come out and make a shoe, or create his own shoe under Nike, not that Nike endorsed it, but he made it. He bought these shoes and made them with an imprint of the devil's symbol on it, and also so many things that are completely perverse on that shoe, that are so demonic. And then to make a music video where he is engaging in sexual activity with the devil himself is completely perverse and completely disgusting.
Yeah.
And disgusting, and to take it to that degree that we would now accept that as normal. And those shoes that he made, they sold out. within 10 minutes.
Wow.
Right? I mean, forget the fact that he's making money, but the fact that, again, going back, if this was 20, 30 years ago, this guy would have been, he would have been canceled.
Yeah.
For this type of behavior, and we know that to a certain extent. I mean, sure, was Marilyn Manson completely canceled? No, he really wasn't, but he definitely was
very fringe. He was fringe. He was not mainstream.
He was not a normal guy. Mm-mm. Nobody looked at him as normal.
So, no, and if you followed his PR is not the best right now because of his personal life and abusive track record with his partners and whatnot, and there's a lot of stuff that came out about him, but
the devil worshipping aspect, I guess, is what I'm focusing on.
Yeah.
That was completely rejected.
Yeah.
Right? Like, okay, I like your music, but I am not down with you worshiping the devil. That was not cool. And now it's like they're trying to, going back to this whole thing of acceptance of this, pseudo worshiping of the devil, right? Of having a relationship with the devil, right? Of having some kind of connection with the devil. That it's okay. It's okay. And
to embrace that and not be shamed by the culture,
anything.
Right? Like they try to make it seem like...
Not even looked at as something like that's dark or it's perfectly fine. It's his right to do what he wants, and it's fine. He's expressing himself. I remember it's funny because I had this conversation with somebody today. He's expressing himself. That's all. He's just expressing himself. That's all he's doing. Are you kidding me?
So you're just gonna let him express himself all over you? Okay. Express himself all over your children. Express himself all. No, you know what? Like he's a product of the environment that we allow.
Yeah.
It's what we allow, and I remember saying this aloud. Like let the left eat itself. But that's not enough. That it's not enough for us to say let it destroy itself, because cancel culture has canceled some of its own people. And it's easy for us to look at it and be like, oh, okay, so all we need to do is let their stupidity cancel them. But it's not enough. It's not enough, and it's really something that we as Catholic men, because this is a Catholic men's podcast, as men, we need to kind of push each other to do more than just be passive and accept this as stupid and let stupidity cancel itself, because it's not going to happen. If we remain hands off and we just accept things for what they are, it's going to take over.
Especially when you have somebody who influences future generations, our current youth, for God's sake. It's very dangerous.
Oh yeah,
it's extremely dangerous for I mean, can you imagine? Growing up, we had the Ouija board. We had those things have always not always, but they've been around for a long time.
Yeah.
That they were necessarily, it was something that you did that you knew was dark and that you just did it because you were trying to like experiment with stuff. But to make something now like this, to try to make it as there's nothing, it's okay. You could worship the devil. It's fine. Worshiping the devil is cool. Having a relationship with the devil is a cool thing. It's a very dark thing. I don't know. I just see like a lot of more demonic activity increasing in our society as a result of this. And what do I mean by that? Possibly more possessions. For sure.
Oh yeah.
For sure, more possessions.
Oh yeah.
For sure, people being possessed by demons, right? Being oppressed. Gosh, I mean, yeah.
Yeah. Just watch the stuff that's on Netflix.
Yeah.
I don't mean like watch the shows, the new Sabrina the Teenage Witch. I don't know if it's been canceled or what. The show about Satan and a bunch of other things. They try to make all this stuff friendly for the culture. I see little shows from Disney Junior, making witches cute. And I remember when I heard my kid, my 7-year-old, 6 at the time, sing a song about I want to be a good little witch. I was like, oh hell no. That's not happening. Not here. Not now. And lucky enough, I think we've raised her well enough that she was able to just let go of that really quickly. Not only that, they transitioned. My kids are now like watching just YouTube stuff. Like they're not really watching mainstream stuff, and they pick the stuff rather wisely, if I may say, because the same 7-year-old that I'm talking about, Clara, she stopped watching a YouTube channel because some guy dressed up as Jesus, and she was like, he's making fun of Jesus. I don't want to watch him. And I had to tell her, like, you know what? Like, no. Like, I watched it. I'm like, no, he's actually not making fun of Jesus. I vetted, and it's all right. It's all right. It's not bad. It's not bad, because as he was portraying Jesus was an actually not horrible thing.
Yeah.
But she still had the fortitude to say, no, you don't dress up as Jesus. I'm gonna not watch this guy. I'm not gonna watch this YouTube channel, and it's this Christian dude. So it wasn't evil. It wasn't evil in intent, but she had the moral fortitude and character to say, I'm not gonna watch this, and she chose to not watch it. And I'm like, okay, I'm gonna respect it. But I'm just letting you know you weren't doing anything bad. And that's just one of the things that happen, like we have the power. We have the power to empower our kids to choose what is right. Mm-hmm. And they will make wise choices when we model good behavior.
And even if they don't, you have to be a parent, and you have to correct them.
Yeah.
Say no. A little tough love.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Even if they they're not your number one fan. You have to.
Because who gives them the iPad? Who gives them the access to the remote?
Mm-hmm. You have to protect them from this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
You think I recently read somewhere, and I had this conversation with a coworker that Karl Marx has a lot of quotes where he talks about his relationship or his. He admires the devil. He admires the devil.
Got it. I thought you were going to talk about his family. I'm like,
no. There's always father issues in these situations, and that's another topic for another day. But you also look at some of these mass murderers. A lot of them would admit to you, or have admitted that they had at some level some type of relationship with the devil, that they worshipped or they admired, or some kind of dark.
Ted Bundy, Richard Ramirez,
totally, and it's sickening. Mm-hmm. It's sickening that people don't acknowledge this, that they can't, that they would try to package it as something, I don't know, something. Expressive and new and wonderful and non-harmful whatsoever. But you start going into those realms you start messing with that stuff. You start getting in cahoots with the devil. Oh my gosh, you better believe things are going to start happening, within your family, within your within everything, and your society. I feel it, I feel it coming. I'm stronger and stronger, especially in the circumstances right now we have. It's the perfect storm for the devil to really unleash on us right now. The fact that people are still afraid to go to church, things like that. They're not receiving the sacraments. They're not receiving anything that's helping them grow in their spiritual life. So they are perfect targets to be, conquered by the devil, yeah.
Hey, I thought we defunded you.
Shouts out to Ramon.
Shout out to Ramon indeed. Miss you, buddy.
Glad you still have a job.
Seriously, yeah. They can't defund that because otherwise, well, Disneyland would be different. Yeah, no, but on a separate note, keep all those guys in prayer. I know a guy whose son is also in a corrections facility, but the women's prison, and he's like, yeah, no, you can't talk about certain things, Man, there's a lot of stuff that Ramon holds back on the podcast, and he doesn't talk about certain things because they mess you up. I mean, he told me a story about an emotional support animal that they took in there, and I couldn't pet my dog for a couple of days without thinking about the stuff that happened to that poor little animal.
Oh, what they did to him.
Yeah.
Wow.
So it's rough, man. Like, you really, really, guys, have our law enforcement in prayer, because it's so easy for people to talk crap about them. But if you're in law enforcement and you don't have a strong relationship with God, go to therapy or something. I don't know, man, because I have no idea how people survive without God. So yeah, keep all law enforcement in prayer, especially those that are serving within that place. You know, that place where Ramon has said, where evil lives. You know, you can feel it. It's thick, and it smells, and it's sickening, and that's what our culture is turning into. Why? Because we let it. That's why. It's been really enlightening having dogs, because you learn a lot about our primal instincts from dogs. You can't back down from dogs, because they will move forward on you. You know, if they don't see you taking charge, they will. And the same thing is happening in our culture. If we are not taking charge, it will. Because the devil is an opportunist, and he will move in if you let him.
Yeah, and he has, and the thing is that you think about despair, and you think about hopelessness and depression, the perfect storm again now. And as you see our leaders, our political leaders, our leaders, regardless in our society, and I'm not talking about the religious leaders. I'm just talking about people who are trying to grab that power of restoring hope, of being saviors.
The unifier.
Being saviors.
Mm-hmm.
Put your hope in me, right? Don't put your faith in God. God's not going to do anything for you in this pandemic. Don't put your faith in your church. Don't put your faith in anything that's spiritual, because you can't see that. It's not tangible. It's not real. I'm going to give you money. I'm going to give you a job. I'm going to give you the vaccine. I'm going to restore society back to what it needs to be. Put your hope in me, right? So you do see a sense of restoration of hope, but completely, perversed hope in a man, hope in an idea that comes from a man, and completely ideas that are completely shut off from any type of faith, of belief in a divine being, in divine grace, right? Yeah. It's sick, and
Yeah.
you better believe the devil's going to use all that. The devil has been using all that, and he's going to continue to use that in our society. And as you see these subtle things in our societies of acceptance, like we just talked about, little Nas and things like that, and that's just like one little needle in the haystack, right? Of different ways the devil is manipulating our society to gradually accept him as a friendly guy, as somebody who's there to help you, somebody there who however
It's going to free you
from
from the binding of morality, of whatever self-expression you can't fully I guess fulfill within yourself.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Oh, why? Because you're being restrained. Like, no,
oppressed by religion,
right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I can't remember who said this. It was a rabbi. I know that for a fact. But it's something very simple. It was God's laws, God's commandments are not there to restrict, but to protect. And John Paul II comes to mind when someone welcomed him to America and said, "Welcome to the land of the free." And then he said, "Free to do what?" For what is freedom but the power to do what you ought? Not what feels good, not what makes you express yourself more, but what you ought to do. And what you and I ought to do as men is lead our families into heaven, into what is good. And that's how we fight this culture. That's how we don't just let the left eat itself, because that means I don't want to do stuff. And that's dangerous. And we can't live like that. So we need to keep on encouraging each other and keep each other in prayer.
Amen.
So pray for us and we'll pray for you. Ferrum ferro aquitur. Don't embarrass me, Javi. Don't embarrass me.